Stunning report from the National Fraternal Order of Police. The number of police shot and killed in the line of duty this year, all-time high. Ambush-style attacks up 126%. This, as we've seen several horrific police-involved crimes in just the last 2 days. Overnight, in Utah, 2 officers were seriously hurt in a shooting. In Georgia, Officer Henry Laxon shot and killed during a shootout. While in Indianapolis, 2 police officers were stabbed. In Oklahoma, an officer is recovering after he was shot outside of an airport. Here to react, former FOP Secretary Steven Gaynor, Indianapolis FOP President Rick Snyder, and Oklahoma City FOP Mark Nelson, President. He's the president there. Mark, first off, why do we see this trend?
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for having us on and for having the opportunity to talk about this tragedy that is occurring. There's a number of reasons, but I think a overall disrespect for law and order, for law enforcement, unlike we've ever seen in this country, is part of the reason, and a huge reason why the finest among us, brothers and sisters, men and women who put on that uniform, are being attacked for no reason other than simply standing for law and order.
Rick, it's unbelievable, this whole new style of not only when you interact, taking bold action, but initiating the action with ambushes.
Yeah, what we're consistently reminded of is that our officers are doing their jobs, but it's a broken revolving door of criminal justice on the backside of that process that's really contributing to this, especially as it relates to repeat violent offenders. And so what we're consistently seeing and hearing from our American law enforcement officers is that until we close that door, none of this is really going to improve.
So, Steve, you say there's no more respect for officers. People used to respect the public officials, let alone the criminals. That's gone, and the pandemic has made it worse. How?
Well, the pandemic has really increased the number of domestic violence incidents we have to respond to. People are tied up in their homes. They don't have anywhere to go. There's a lot of stress on the family due to employment and lack of money and food, supplies. And so that causes us to respond to a lot of calls, causing us to be exposed, and tensions are really high. And then that no respect for law and order, they attack officers at will.
Mark, here's the other thing. Oklahoma is not one of those states that's looking to defund the police. There seems to be a pro-law enforcement, unless you want to disabuse me of that, a pro-law enforcement attitude, but still you're having problems.
No, I do agree with you, and I'm proud to say that the majority, overwhelming majority of citizens here in Oklahoma do support law enforcement. What we need, and I think we need this across the country, is our elected leaders from the local level all the way up to Congress to speak out and condemn these ambush-style attacks. Just over a month ago, a deputy just a little bit west of the metro here in Oklahoma City was shot 7 times in one of those instances that the brother referred to about domestic violence and responding to that call. And Tulsa, a little over a year ago, had an officer killed in the line of duty off of a simple traffic stop. So, yeah, things are better here in Oklahoma than in other parts of the state, but this is a nationwide issue that we have to speak out against and reverse this trend.
And Rick, I think defund the police even scared the heck out of the Democrats. Anybody with a brain in their head knew it was a dumb thing to say and believe, even though congresswomen like Cori Bush still believe it. But how do you get the respect back amongst the masses? How do you do that? There's got to be we've been in places similar to this before in the past. Can we break out that playbook again?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to what's driving this lack of trust and respect, really, for law enforcement, is the fractures within the system. It's when the residents in the community, the residents in the neighborhood, see the officers make the arrest, but see that violent offender return right back to the neighborhood, often within hours. It dilutes the process, and it dilutes really the ability of the officers to be able to solve the problems in the community. We're reminded this is not a gun violence issue. It's not a knife violence issue. It's not a car violence issue. It's a human violence issue. And until we start to address these issues of the heart, none of this is really going to improve.
Issues of the heart, and also just if you do the crime, you actually have to go to jail. Wouldn't that help, Steve?
It would help greatly. Instead of having these no bonds, reduced bonds, holding people accountable for the actions that they did so that others see that if you do the crime, like they say, you're going to do the time. And then that's what we need to get back to.
Real quick, I just want to just get all of you to weigh in. Mark, in Oklahoma, are you having problems getting people to go into the academy, to sign up to be officers?
It's absolutely horrible, Brian. Yes, absolutely. We are understaffed in the large metro areas. You can imagine how that trickles down when generally the smaller agencies have fewer benefits. They're struggling as well.
What about you, Rick Snyder?
Yeah, we're seeing that this move to dehumanize, demonize, and demoralize our officers is resulting in a high attrition rate, but also very difficult chances of recruiting folks.
Right, and Steve, yes or no, the funding coming back in Georgia?
We're doing better in staffing, but it's still, people don't want to come back because they're second guessed for the split-second decision that they have to make.
Well, I hope you know we have your back. We respect what you do on a daily basis. You do it because you want to make the city, the town, the county a better place, and the country. So hang in there. Hopefully things will begin to reverse, and it'll start in the households and work its way up, hopefully, to the precincts. Thanks, guys.